in this class is to talk you through setting up a blog. So it's not hard. The interface in Blogger can take a little while to get used to, but it's fairly straightforward. So I'll take you through the steps. You can, if you want, I'll go, I think, just slow enough so that you can go with me step by step. But if you get lost, we probably won't have time to pause for you, so you can catch up, later. So you can just sit and watch, or you can try and do it as you go, or mix and match, whichever. Okay? What I don't want you to do, though, is I don't want you to type frantically to people, because that's very distracting for me. But apart from that, you can watch or come with when I do it. So you want to get to this screen here in Blogger where you're creating a new blog. So if you were logged in to your CIT email is in fact a Gmail. It's a Google Apps account. So that's why it looks so like Gmail. It is Gmail. And Blogger is part of the Google family of products. So when you went straight to Blogger, it recognized you, so you probably didn't have to log in again. It might have prompted you for one or two more pieces of information, but for the most part it knew who you were. So if you can get to a screen where you're creating a new blog, you're going to create a blog, and you need to come up with two things: the name of the blog and then the web address for the blog, the URL for the blog. You can change these things after, but for the duration of this module, once you give me the web address, you can't change that. You can change the title of the blog, alright. So you want to get something sensible, maybe something involving your name. I have this notion that you might even keep this blog going for your whole career at CIT. So you might be stuck with it for a long time. So just bear that in mind when you pick a name. Keeping the blog going, I think, could be a great activity. It might be fun for you, for example, when you're in third year, to look back at what you were doing in first year and think, God, I was so clueless, and look how much I know now. And also just to kind of keep a record of what you've been doing and how you've been doing and the highs and the lows. It can be very useful and very helpful at times to do that. Now, I wouldn't propose that you use this like a diary. You have your deepest, innermost thoughts and fears and concerns and worries, because this is totally public. So when you're setting up your blog, you are starting to sort of create a public footprint on the web for yourself. So maybe you could consider this to be the start of your sort of professional footprint on the web. So if someone Googles your name in 5 years when you apply for a job, maybe they'll find this blog as part of that. So what image do you want to project there? So maybe your profile picture isn't the one, with you and a bottle of vodka in your hand, or, shifting someone in a nightclub somewhere, irrespective of how attractive they may or may not be. So think about that. I mean, I had a guy one year whose web address was stupidfuckingblogs.blogspot.com. Fine, it's a perfectly valid URL, but what does that say about him? What does that say about his attitude? What did it say about his approach to college? So have a think about that. But don't think too long and too hard, because you can change it. I'm just going to call this one, just for the crack. So the title can be, would have spaces in it, but bear in mind that the web address would be, okay, that's not available. Wouldn't have spaces in it. So this now would be justforcrack.blogspot.com. Obviously you spell crack a different way, and it's a whole other blog really, but anyway. Now So we're going to look here at the settings. So if you click on that sort of little thing, I don't know what they call it. We're going to go into the settings here once you've it set up, and I'll talk you through the main settings that I want you to set today. So some of them I want you to set today. So right down here at the bottom on the part of the screen that you can't see, there's settings, and there's a bunch of them there. I'll just scoot this up a bit so you can see. No. So in settings there's basic settings, and you can set the title and the blog address. You can decide whether you want search engines to see it or not. I mean, what's the point of having a blog if no one's going to read it? You know? So you want it to be visible. You can put in a description what it's about. Now, you will be automatically set up as the author of the blog. You can also add other authors. The reason you might want to do that is if you were working on a group project, and as part of the process you were documenting your work in the blog, one of you would set up the blog, a separate blog in your Blogger account, and then you would allow the other members of the group to be authors. So if someone comes in and does a bit whatever, they can post, so you can all post to the same blog. The same blog can have multiple authors. You can also actually restrict who can read the blog if you want. So you could have a group blog for, I mean, I know lots of lecturers, students use a blog to do their project documentation, and say the 4 students in the blog are the only authors, and then the 4 students and the lecturer are the only people who can read it, and they set the lecturer as one of the readers of the blog. So that can be useful in certain circumstances, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about you having a public blog visible to the whole world. No. People can leave. You can set how many posts you want on a page. You know. There's a thing here: showcase images with lightbox. That's so unimportant that I'm not even going to explain what it does. But there's a thing you do for me later, and if this is set to yes, it makes my life more difficult than if it was set to no. So I wanted to change that to no. But it's so unimportant, I'm not even going to tell you what it is. So I want you to change that to no for me. And then when it comes to comments, it's you can choose what you want to do with the comments yourself, but I'll explain the different options. You can set it up so that anyone, anywhere, without identifying themselves in any way, shape or form, can leave a comment on your blog and it'll appear there immediately. That's a bad idea. That's one end of the scale. You can restrict who can leave posts. So you can have anybody, or you can have someone who has to identify themselves in some way. They have to log in some way, shape or form. No, even that is fairly flexible, because they could create a make-yuppie account just for the purposes of leaving that comment there. So you don't really get to know much about them. Or you could have someone with, you could say it has to be someone with a Google account. Now, at least if it's someone with a Google account, they could still just have created a Gmail just for the purposes of doing this. But it does mean that if there were serious problems, you can maybe get onto Google and they might, delete their account or something. And then only members of the blog. So I typically use registered user. So it's pretty much anonymous, but not quite. I have found that pure anonymity makes people crazy with freedom. And like the stuff on my blog, I used to allow anonymous, and I just had to turn it off. I used to get such abuse on my blog, so I still get abuse, but it's funny, the nature of the abuse has changed when I went from anonymous to, you know, you can say what you like, but, you know, have some sort, you know, stand behind it a bit. And I may show you an example of that at a later stage. However, the main reason, we'll look at then moderation. So with comment moderation, if that's set to never, basically someone posts a comment, it appears in your blog straight away. That's a very bad idea. If you set the moderation to always, what happens is someone leaves a comment, and then the next time you log in, you see, oh, there's a comment here waiting to be moderated. And then you can choose to publish that or delete it. It's a bit frustrating for the person leaving the comment because they expect it to appear straight away. So I very often get the same comment 2 or 3 times because they didn't think it went through. So I know what sometimes does, I know how that works. Alright, so if it's a way old post, you moderate it, and if it's new, you don't. That can be a good way to keep the conversation flowing. It kind of depends on your preference. You want to use show word verification. That's, you know, these like squishy up words you see on Ryanair and now in Vodafone web text. CAPTCHAs, yeah, they're called. Where it's a squished up word and you can just about make out what it is. That's the test if you're human. A computer trying to use that page to do something would find it very difficult to decipher what those letters are. And many humans do too. But it's to stop spam. So you're familiar with like spam in your email box, although Google has done a very good job of getting rid of most of that from our email boxes, where you know, I have a fabulous business proposition for you, and you just need to give me your credit card and all your details and keys to your house, and or you know, buy these drugs or cool things or whatever. There's a whole other kind of spam then as well, though, comment spam. So you have bots going around looking for places where, so you have, if you have comment moderation turned off and you have show word verification turned off, then you get lots of lovely comments on your blog about how wonderful your blog is. So you're like, hi, I just read your blog, I think it's great, it's really interesting, nothing specific about the content, and you know, come check out my website at whatever, whatever, whatever. I've got lots of fabulous whatever, whatever, whatever to sell. And the sad thing is that isn't someone who read your blog and thought it was really interesting. It was, you know, some mafia boss's computer trying to sell whatever, whatever, whatever. So that's comment spam. So you don't want comment spam on your blog because then that harms your reputation. Okay. So you can set that to whatever you want. And I might talk a bit more about sort of privacy and comfort zones and things in a little while. This feature here with mobile and SMS is a bit quaint now, but I love it. And before smartphones, you had phones that the browsers didn't work very well, but you could send emails. And so what you can do is you can set it up so that there's like a super secret email address that only you know, and any emails that get sent to that get posted straight to the blog. I love it because if I'm making a note of what I did in class, it's so much easier to fire off an email than is to log in, get the username and the password, and new post, blah, 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 we did this. Because I can just do, we did this, gone. So I love that particular feature. But you might not find it so useful. You could see it would be useful if you were kind of on the road, you know, traveling around the world and just wanted to post quick updates. And you can also set it up so that you can send text messages from your phone to the blog. No, you might say, but I have Twitter. Yeah, but I mean, this predates, all of this blogging stuff predates Twitter and Facebook and stuff by quite some time. And like I was saying in the class, you can see in blogging the beginnings of all those things that we have now. You can see how they came out of blogging. If for some reason the language wasn't set to English, you want to set it to English. And you want to set your time zone. The time zone will automatically will default to the time in California, which right now is 1:40 in the morning. So you want to set it to Dublin or London or Lisbon. So it's there at GMT 0. Yeah, so set the time to Dublin time. You can tweak about there with what formatting you want for the date and stuff. It's up to you. Search preferences, no, I'm not that interested. And other. You could, if you wanted, set the flag just that you have adult themes, or do they like to pronounce it adult? It's supposed to adult, but that would just stop. If parents had their kids' browser set to whatever, it would just stop them finding your blog. No, I guess given what I had said about you sort of creating a professional persona for yourself online, you probably wouldn't be posting the kind of content anyway. But I mean, at the same time, it doesn't make much of a difference whether you set it or not. This Google Analytics is something we'll discuss at length, and once we do that, you will have a kind of a 15-digit number or whatever that you're going to put in here, and then cool things will happen. So just to note where that is, that's in other. So yeah, we will what? We will look at the layout and some other things in another class. I think it's enough for you to set up your blog today and to get those things that I need you to do done, and to do your first post. And but you can, once you have that done, then you can modify the template and the layout and the colors and things as well. Okay. So any questions on any of that? So if you missed the lecture, the first lecture, you didn't miss anything. If you missed the second lecture on the blogging, you can watch that on my blog, colinmcit.blogspot.com. No. There's two more things I want you to do. From there, I want you to open up straight away to plus.google.com and just check that you're still on Google Plus. You're still on Google Plus with me, yeah? So if you're not, just do that. I guess the simplest way is to maybe add me. That's who am I, Colin E. Manning or Colin Manning, and then I'll see that, and then I can add you back and put you in the appropriate circle. And once you have your blog set up, if you go to View Blog, which is just here. No, it's not. Anyway, if you go to View Blog, I want you to email me the URL. So it'll be dansfabulousblog.blogspot.ie, I guess. I want you to email that to me before the end of today's class. And I'll put a list of all of the blogs on my blog, and then you can go look at other people's. So as soon as you get that set up, email it on to me. So any questions on any of that? Great stuff, guys.